Hi everyone, I am Arthur J. Dillard, and I'm super excited that you all will be reading my book, JD and the Great Barber Battle together. One of the things that actually inspired me in terms of writing JD and the Great Barber Battle was seeing my mother and her will to wanting to spend more quality time with us. That being said, my mother went out and purchased a pair of clippers, not only to save money, but also to have more quality time with myself and my little brother at that particular time. But also one of the funny things is, what makes it also relatable, at some point somebody also had a haircut either that was bad or they did not agree with. After all, hey, we are a kid, we are growing up. Well, I hope you enjoyed the book. I'm looking forward to sitting down and reading everything collectively with you guys. And then, like I always like to say, always take everything one page at a time.
Good morning, everybody. It's time again for Texas Reads One Book, where we all sit down with the same book and read together. I'm here this morning with my good friend and best reading buddy, Star. You should go ahead and get out your copy of JD and the Great Barber Battle, and let's start. Chapter 1, A Crooked Fade. Sit still and look straight into the mirror, my mom said as she turned on the set of clippers. The buzzing sound made me a little nervous. I shifted on my stool in the one bathroom my entire family of 6, 3 adults and 3 kids, shared. It was the Sunday night before the start of 3rd grade, and I was in the middle of a family tradition. In the Jones family, none of us kids got our hair cut before we turned 9. Up until now, my mom always cornrowed my hair, and I liked it that way. But I was excited for my first real haircut. I had been checking out my friends' haircuts all summer for ideas. My friend Xavier, who lived across the street, had his cool dad cut his hair into the most amazing high-top fade. But Mr. Boom was an ex-Marine and strict. He made it clear his time and his money were only for his kids. Even when he took us all for ice cream, he made sure everybody's parents gave their kids enough money to pay for their own stuff. No way I was ever asking him for anything. "Come back with $5, I imagined him saying if I asked him for a haircut, and I'd want to yell back, "Your prices are too steep." But not with Mr. Boom. I would just say, "Yes, sir," to everything. My best friend Jordan, who lived next door, also had cool hair, thanks to his brother Neha. Neha had already graduated from college. He would come home after work, change into his clothes that were straight fire, and sometimes cut his and Jordan's hair. He had skills, and he could cut designs like playing cards into the back of his head. I would watch him and study his technique for hours, but it just seemed to be happening less and less. He was a grown man with a full-time job, a new car, and a girlfriend. Neha didn't have time to cut hair all day. I didn't just want to copy one of my friend's haircuts, though. I had so much hair that maybe I could get a small afro with an edge up like Steph Curry. Or maybe something wilder like that quarterback on the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes. Jordan had an iPhone, and sometimes I would look at his Instagram account at barber hashtags. I love the guy who cut designs into people's heads and then colored them in the outline with a pencil. I was good at art. I always kept a set of colored pencils and paper in my backpack so I could draw whenever I felt like it. After I saw those Instagrams, I started drawing myself with all types of Marvel characters cut in the back of my head. Deep down, I knew I could never get the Amazing Spider-Man or any of those other styles I really liked, especially since there was only one barbershop in town, Hart & Sons. They offered 3 types of kids cuts, a baldy, a Caesar, and a fade. Sometimes I'd go with my friends on Saturday, and getting a haircut there looked longer than it did to sit through one of Pastor's Sunday sermons. Your day was shot to pieces. I figured my mom could manage something simple, and plus I knew we did not have extra money to spend. I wanted a basic fade, I told my mom. I asked for her phone and showed her a picture of Michael B. Jordan, the villain from the movie Black Panther. "Okay, baby," she said, "I can't believe you're going to 3rd grade." I loved the weekly time my mom set aside to style my hair. My younger brother, my older sister, plus my grandparents lived with us. It was hard to get alone time with Mom, especially since she always seemed to be in school, even more than me. At first, she told us she was going back to school to become a nurse. But after spending 6 months working at the hospital, she quit. "I hate the hospital," Mom said one night after a long shift. "Everybody isn't treated the same." I didn't know exactly what happened, but I used to overhear her talking to my granddad about people being turned away for not having insurance or patients being given pills they didn't need. So after she sat at the dinner table one night with tears in her eyes, Granddad told her if she hated the job that much, she just had to stop. "There's plenty of other jobs in the world," he told her. I know it was hard for Mom. Mom loved medicine, and her dream was to become a nurse and help sick people. It made me so proud to hear how great she was at it and how neat and clean she kept all the patients' rooms. It made me keep my bedroom extra clean too. So Mom went back to school to get something called an MBA, and her thick books that said anatomy now said things like Statistics 101 and management. She had told us she had seen a job opening in the mayor's office, but she needed this MBA thing to apply. Mom's super smart. She didn't always get a 100 on her tests, and she didn't expect us to, but she said the important thing was to always try as hard as you could. A couple of years ago, all of us moved in with my grandparents after my granddad had a heart attack. "It'll just be for 2 months until Granddad feels better, then we'll move back with Dad," my mom had told us. Well, 2 months turned into 2 years. Dad sent money sometimes, and Mom never really said anything bad about him, but I didn't really know why they split up. They met when they were track stars at Mississippi Valley State, and even today, Mom had what she called her runner's legs. Sometimes she would race me and my sister around the big track at the local high school, and she'd remind us why her nickname as a kid had been Cheetah. So it was my mom, my older sister Vanessa, my baby brother Justin, and my grandparents, Mr. and Mrs. Slayton Evans, all in one old house built in the 1930s. Like most houses in Meridian, Mississippi, it had a closed-in porch so that you could sit outside when it was hot, which was most days, and all the rooms were on one floor. Luckily, I still got my own room since Vanessa slept with my mom and Justin loved sleeping with my grandparents. "Baby, did you hear me?" my mom asked. I checked on the time on her phone. It had been about 20 minutes already, and she'd finished cutting my hair. "Well, what do you think?" she said. "I can't believe how grown you look." I stared into the mirror, and what I saw was not good. My mom had cut my hair down, all right, but my hairline looked like a hilltop or a mountain range. It definitely wasn't straight like I'd seen in pictures or on my friends. "I can't go to school tomorrow looking like this," I told my mom. "Nothing's wrong with your hair," she said. "You're not missing out on the first day of school. Now please go get ready for bed." I sighed, and my shoulders fell 3 inches as I reached for my toothbrush and started to get ready to brush my teeth. That night, I couldn't sleep. Maybe I could fake being sick? My hair looked terrible, and I didn't want anyone at school to see me like this. How many ways could the 3rd grade class of Douglas Elementary make fun of my bad haircut? Well, I was about to find out. Thanks for finishing chapter 1, and we look forward to seeing all of you throughout this entire book, everybody reading together. Have a great day.
Hi, my name is Susan Gross. I'm the Director of Curriculum and Instruction for the district, and I get to read chapter 2 of J.D. and the Great Barber Battle. So here we go with chapter 2, The Nervous Breakfast. The next morning, my entire family sat around eating grits, eggs, bacon, and buttered toast with jelly. Granddad had to watch his diet now, but he could never pass up a good piece of bacon or two. My family was always busy, but Grandma loved to make everyone breakfast before we all left the house. Fuel for the day, she'd say, as she and my grandfather drank cup after cup of coffee without talking much. The people in my family weren't big talkers, except my sister Vanessa. I was pretty sure she was friends with every girl in Meridian between the ages of 10 and 13. The only person in my family who had a cell phone was my mother, and so Vanessa would spend as much time as she could talking on my grandparents' landline, dragging the cord around the house as she talked. I sat at the table, quieter than normal, wearing a Mississippi Bulldog baseball cap. "James, take that hat off while you're eating," my granddad said. Granddad, a tall, slim man with glasses, had recovered well from his heart attack. In fact, even though he had retired from running the local J.C. Penney's, his health scare inspired him to go into the burial insurance business. "We're all going to die, right?" he said. Granddad treated it like any other regular fact. Everyone in our family had a burial policy, even us kids. Granddad didn't play. We couldn't even say, "Huh?" or "What?" around him. Everyone was "Yes, ma'am," "Yes, sir," "No, ma'am," "No, sir." And his punishments were terrible, like playing outside for a week or making us read boring books aloud to him and give reports. So the first time he asked, I took off my hat. No one said anything. They just looked at one another nervously until finally Vanessa spoke up. "What happened to J.D.'s braids?" she asked. "I cut his hair. It looks fine," my mom said. "Now let's finish eating. Everybody has a long day." The morning was moving too fast, and I'd have to leave for the bus soon. I needed to think of something quick. "I want to ride to school today," I said. "Why?" my mom asked. "You always take the bus with Jordan." Granddad jumped in before I could continue. "Stop this hard-headed act you are not going on this morning, James," my granddad said. What he meant was that we already had our rides figured out. He took my mom to school, my grandmother and Justin to her ceramic studio, and he dropped off Vanessa on the way. Vanessa was already in middle school, even though she was only in 5th grade. In Meridian, grades 5 through 8 were all in a separate building. Her school was close to Mom's college. "Oh, Lord, James, stop all this fighting first thing in the morning," Grandma piped in. "Oh, Lord" was her favorite thing to say. Grandma, a deep brown-skinned woman who kept her salt and pepper hair cut short, loved church, and she was the reason we always had to go. And not just on Sunday mornings. There was weeknight Bible studies, Sunday morning Bible school, and choir. Granddad played piano at church sometimes and even practiced on the Baldwin piano in the living room. Mom and Vanessa were excellent singers. I usually lip-synced. Musical talent was something that skipped over me, but I was good at art, like Grandma. Like Granddad, Grandma didn't play, so I dropped it. On a normal day, I loved taking the bus with Jordan. He was my best friend, but he could also give me a hard time. Jordan would definitely have something to say about my hairline, and I would need extra tough skin to make it through the ride to school. Can't wait for you to hear Chapter 3.